I want to make business education more engaging, more practical, and more connected to the real world. But we understand that education is also it's changing very fast, especially now with the AI. I think there's a lot of pressure for the educators today. There's a constant talk of disruption and the need for rethinking everything. But here's the thing, right? We don't think innovation needs to be overwhelming. And I don't think AI needs to replace what we do. We should embrace AI to enhance our teaching. So we built MonsoonSIM to support your teaching, not to disrupt it, right? So our simulation brings the business concept to life. And yes, we have integrated AI into the experience, but we've done it in a way that feels natural and non-intrusive. So whether you're teaching marketing, finance, operation, accounting, business, analytics, or capstone projects, MonsoonSIM is designed to complement your existing course. We try to add excitement, I think it's a very good word, and the big picture without the complexity. That's my email. If you have any question, you can always email me.
Thank you.
All right, so let me start with a few examples of how other people have used it. Okay, so the first example I like to use is a Deakin Business School. I think they won an award with this. It's Escalite Award.
Yeah, I know Escalite. Yeah.
So Deakin runs an award-winning capstone course, recognized that, and it was designed specifically for large cohorts of accounting students in both hybrid and online formats.
Yep.
So they combine multiple elements: the enterprise resource planning, simulation, employability training, real-life case studies, and scaffolding assessment into one coherent experience, all within 11 weeks. So it was done by a few professors, Christine and Edwin. MonsoonSIM played a central role in the course, acting as an ERP simulation engine that brought everything together. That's the key, right? So with the capstone, you have to be like everything all together, from finance to logistics to decision-making and teamwork. And the result has been consistently high, student satisfaction, engagement, and they are, it's all done and it's all published there, and you can, go to our website.
I just took a picture of that, and I'll get the video later, but I'll go dig that up in the Escalite proceedings and have a read.
Oh yeah, right. Good. So let's continue. So the second example is by Michigan State University. You see, it's very flexible. So one can be a capstone strategic, more strategic kind of course. And the other one is more like, intermediate, undergraduate, intermediate financial course, accounting. So Sue from MSU incorporated MonsoonSIM into her undergraduate intermediate financial accounting course to bridge a gap for strategic problem solving, one of the 6 core competencies targeted by the programs. So by selecting only modules that align with her curriculum, she has delivered a meaningful simulation-based learning experience. So again, I think what we need to underline is you can select the modules that you want to configure to align with your lesson plan. So they were focusing on inventory, vendor management, pricing strategy, and so on. The simulation ran over 4 weeks. Student works in teams and make real-time decisions, reflect on the learning outcomes. Feedback shows strong engagement and deeper understanding of complex business process. Many students found the simulation variable and recommend its continued use in the future cohorts, highlighting effective connecting theory with practical and cross-functional thinking. So this one is also published in the YouTube. Actually, if you go to YouTube, that's in there, right? Then we have Wisconsin, Milwaukee. This is for the executive programs in the strategic leadership series. Okay, so some good words coming from them. Mike has been using it since 3 years ago, and just recently they started another session and so on. So then we have Penn State, Suzanne, who has retired, and I think another person that took over is also continuing with this model. So they're using MonsoonSIM for their accounting system and control, costing, and so on.
Activity-based costing.
Right. And before they used SAP simulation, but now they've used MonsoonSIM. Then we have another Penn State user, Professor Akhil, and he is using for the graduate school enterprise information system. So it's 3 years running. So this was like 2 years ago that he mentioned this. So it's now 3rd year going. So they really like it. In fact, I just saw them starting again last week. Okay, so those are a few users, and then we have Singapore. Singapore, we have a number of users like SUSS, Ngee Ann, Kaplan. And then we have University of Illinois, use it for management accounting. And then we have Florida for business process and accounting information system, and so on. Okay, so those are some of the examples of how others use MonsoonSIM. Any question there, Sue? Maybe
No,
I
no,
can.
I like the I thought it was different levels. So the undergraduate, the graduate, the executive, and that's the one simulation that can stretch.
That's
Like,
right.
wow.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about what is MonsoonSIM in more detail. Typically, this is what they do. And now we have given you two more options, which is simulation and gamification. So when you teach with MonsoonSIM, you can blend these two new mode of teaching. But enough to say that you can intermix this. You can switch between simulation and gamification anytime when you're doing the teaching. Then we move on to this one. This is very important. So this is how you as the facilitator teach using Monsoon. You can configure your scenario. So depending on your lesson plan, you can, the length of the duration of the simulation or gamification is also up to you.
So you said that you go to the login and the lecturer can configure and modules and stuff. Is that something you guys assist with? So they say, well, I've kind of got these subjects and I want to do it. You can help kind of go through the build and the decision-making process. I'm sure once you've done it, they'll get the idea and then can work independently after. But
Absolutely.
That's
Yes, absolutely. We offer not in addition to offer training, sometimes we also help our facilitator in the first couple of games,
right.
first
Yeah.
couple of session, and then that's it. After that, they exactly,
They're
I think
fine. Just
I
that
think
initial support. Yeah.
right. So the students come in teams, and then they learn through simulation or gamification in competition with each other, right? So
right.
but if you do simulation, that not much competition, you are just simply explaining the thing. But if you make it into a game, then it is a lot of fun. So you kind of want to mix that, your mode of teaching. Okay, evolving complexity. This is important. When you start, let's say you start with a simulation. Let's suppose you configure a situation where you have a retail store and then you have a vendor and then you buy and you sell. Yeah. You buy from the vendor and then you sell to the man on the street. So this is like a simple scenario. And you let them experience them, then they will experience the following. They will understand revenue, overhead, purchasing, profitability, capacity. So in that scenario, they will learn some concept. Then if you give them, say, loan, then they'll have to understand what is liability, current ratio, credit rating, even bankruptcy, if they don't know how to service the loan. And then if you think that they are ready, you give them, say, marketing, then they'll have to experience what is marketing, how does it affect their retail sales, what is the fundamentals of marketing, right? The price, the promotion, the people, and so on. And then if you think they're ready as a facilitator, you can give them logistics. And at that moment, they will be experiencing more logistics, wholesales, allocation, inventory control, and so on. So this is how, this is the experience build-up process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There are 13 business departments in MonsoonSIM. This is finance, and this is retail and forecasting, marketing, warehouse, B2B wholesales, and e-commerce, production, MRP, which is material requirement planning, and then maintenance for asset management, human resource and then service management. So there are a lot of departments. So you can turn it off. It's up to you. Some of them, they just use 5 of this modules, some 6, some 7. So it's up to you. So you define what you based on your lesson plan. And then underneath here, at every one of these menu, you can continue to refine your model. For example, if you like to give them sustainability, then you can go here and turn on the sustainability nature of the game. Then suddenly when they purchase or they do the shipment, they have to think about the wastage, the carbon footprint,
Love it.
the energy consumption, and so on.
That's
So
fantastic.
little by little, you can continue to push the envelope and give them more and more knowledge, if you like, and then for the student to understand. So there's a lot of concepts covered in MonsoonSIM. We're talking, I mean, this is our 15th year in a row. So we are currently on our version 12. So
did you say 15 years?
Yes, 15.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's long time. So and this is what we do all the time. We don't diverge a bit. So this is what we focus on. So this one, I'll show you all this in a live demo later. Yeah. Okay. So then let me go on now. This is the screen that you see as a facilitator. So as a teacher, you will look at this screen, and these are the 13 business modules that you can turn on or off, right? And then you can have other things like, let me just share an example for this is the AI that stand by to help you. So if you have any question at all, you can just click and then you can ask the question to the AI and AI will help you. For example, how do I turn on this? How do I configure this? The AI will be able to help you. And this is for you to monitor as the student play the game. You can watch them a transaction by transaction, so you know that they are very busy, and then you know that they are having fun. So this is the one that you can control. You can monitor them. All right, so these are the 13 business modules, and these are the submenu that you can click to configure further. Here is where you can get your student to come in. So in each game, you can have up to 10 teams, and in each team, you can have up to 10 students.
Yes, you can do 100 students in a hit.
Exactly. So in each game, you can support up to 100 students. Now, some classes are maybe 20, 25, 30. Then you can have, a few classes going at the same time with different teachers. Doesn't matter. Right?
So if you had 300 students, you
the
could have
typical
3 games
size, I
running.
would say, is about 20. Correct. You can have 3 games running. Exactly. Good. So that is where now, when one of the students say has a problem, you can simply click their name and you open up their page on your screen. So you don't really have to go over there. You know exactly what is going on. So you can showcase any of your students' screen on the, share it with the other students. So this is good for teaching in a simulation way. You can say, all right, Gilbert, this is what you have done, and look what happened, and so on and so on. So you can do that by clicking their page. Right. So if you click this, then you open up the student page, right? So this is your screen and this is their screen. So the student are doing the transaction and you're watching it.
Wow. Real time.
Okay. Real time, exactly. Real time. And in real time, you can also observe their KPIs. Yeah. So when they are running their game, you can observe, like for example, you can look at their margin, you can look at their environmental impact, you can look at their, all the the current ratio, all that. So you can monitor the progress and also the assess, you can assess how they're doing live by clicking this, observe it, right? Okay. And there's a lot of angle to look at their performance. Some you can look at it in terms of individual KPI, like you see here. This is individual KPI, or you can look at the KPI in a weight in a rubric. Yeah, in a rubric. So this is like you combine 4 KPI. So this could be your sales, this could be your cash flow, this could be your, the environmental asset, environmental impact. So when you compare revenue with revenue, then this guy is the winner. If you compare sales, then this guy is a winner, and so on. So you can. And so it's not only financial, sometimes it's also branding, sometimes it's also efficiency, sometimes it's also how you handle the staff and the human management. With AI now you have more, so we embed AI into the game in a very natural way. I give you some example. When you play the game, let's say you need more money.
Sorry, I didn't hear the first example, love, because you froze. So what was the vendor negotiation example?
Okay, the vendor negotiation is, for example, you were playing the game and you think that, look, I need to reduce my costs, right? And one of the ways to reduce your costing is to get a discount from your supplier. So now in the new AI, with this AI, you can talk to the vendor and say that I would like to get a discount, right? And the vendor is going to sort of response to the student whether they get a discount or not.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So this will give the student a very immersive experience, just like the real life, of how they deal with various elements in the game, in the business world. So not just the vendor, sometimes you have to deal with the supplier. You need to deal with a customer. Another example is, say you want to have a loan. Let's say when they play the game, they find that they need more capital, right? So they need to raise some funds. So now they can go to the bank in the game. They want to go to the bank and ask for some loans. So now they have to talk to the bank in terms of why they need the loan. So they really need to do a qualitative request, not just
Wow.
quantitative. So it's not just your quantitative KPI, but it's also qualitative now. So that means the student that more EQ, having good EQ will be able to do better
Wow.
because
Nice.
they need to talk politely and professionally to the banker
That's
to
clever.
get a
I
loan.
do like this integration of the AI. That is slick.
Yeah, natural. We want to make it natural and non-disruptive.
But it's
And then
authentic to a business. Like that's what you do.
yes, exactly. So let's say they want to go for a bidding. So let's say there's a big bidding going on. They want to bid for the project. Then they have to submit the bidding. Now they have to also give a qualification of why they will be chosen. So this will equip our student a more real life experience, so that when they go out to the industry, they will face all this thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the AI angle. So let's go back to the third. I mentioned earlier that there are some good things about simulation and gamification that are really hard to come by if you're not doing, if you're just doing a theory. For example, in the simulation, you can show the student the cause and effect. You can show the student the what if, right? And in the simulation, you can also show the student a sense of timing. So, for example, you can simulate the fact that, look, if you're not careful with your cash flow, then by the second, third day, you are going to run out of cash and then you will be in trouble. So that is a sense of timing that you can share with the student. So that is something very good for teaching. And then gamification, and the benefits of gamification is that there's a lot of teamwork going on because they play as a team. So they need to work as a team. So there's a lot of social learning going on. They learn from each other, they help each other because they're competing as a company, as a virtual company. And then they learn from mistake, and that is very important, right? They learn from mistake. And then critical thinking and the passion to learn is in the game. Okay, I can show you a number of video later about how they learn using MonsoonSIM. Okay, so in MonsoonSIM, when you want to teach, you can teach with a number of ways. You can have theory, and then with gamification, and then you have theory with simulation, and then you continue with theory, simulation, and then gamification. So you can do this, or you can do this, or you can turn it around, do this. So it's very flexible how you want to put it in your lesson plan. It's absolutely not a disruptive. You just pick up whatever you want to change and then you change. For example, if you have a course, let's say if you want to share with us, we do that all the time. A lot of teachers say that, okay, I understand now, but I have this course. Can you help me see which one I can use the simulation gamification? If you can send it over, I'm happy to do that for you. I can just explain to you that this part you can do a simulation, this part you can game it, it's going to be fun and so on. Yeah. Okay.
So some of it, so to be clear, some of it suits itself better to sim and some suits really well to gamification.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And we'll see that in a moment. So I give you another example. Let's say you have a course called Introduction to Accounting, right?
Yeah.
Now, these are the typical subject that they teach. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Right, this one, and then journal and cash flow, budget, and so on. Now, so you're able to say, okay, this one, instead of going through the theory and so on, let's just play a game. So you can do that. For this one, you can say, all right, then I only have 45 minutes to spare. I'll just do a simulation. So you can do that. You can step through it and they can observe. For example,
Yeah.
they can observe it. And then if you want to teach this, you can teach with theory. And then after that, you can teach with simulation also. So it is really this is one example of how you can introduce the MonsoonSIM in your lesson plan. That's one example. The second example is the following: Introduction to Accounting. Now, let's suppose you only have 4 sessions that you can spare because the other 12 sessions are occupied already.
Yeah.
There's no room for changing, no problem. Then this 4th session, then you can use it for things like experience accounting in your own virtual world, in your own virtual business. And then you can do the simulation to teach the following, sort of like a lab. I remember when you take chemistry, we always have lab. Now in accounting, you can also have the lab, right? So you can have, and then experience accounting round 2, and then you do a debriefing, and then you can also do that. And then if you want to teach data analytics, very good, because MonsoonSIM, all the data can be downloaded, and then the student can tap into the data and study.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
all
that
the
data
data.
then is not just data I'm learning stuff, it's meaningful because they lived it.
That's right. That's right. Because they are connected to the data because the data is a consequence of their strategic thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then you say, let's say entrepreneurship, which is very, very good subject to teach. You can teach with, experience accounting in the virtual business, in the gamification, and then operation management, simulation, game, and then startation. We have Series A, Series B, IPO funding. So MonsoonSIM startup to IPO. So you can teach all that.
Wow.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Okay, so we can see that. And then let's suppose you have marketing, you can teach that, consumer behavior, market segment and targeting, brand management, investing in marketing promotion, all that. You can do simulation and quiz, so all that. Okay. And we have all the courses for you. In fact, we've already pre-made a lot of courses. So you simply run these courses for brand management and all that. So we have that. Okay, and then let's continue. I'm just sharing this that we can have a one-on-one workshop with your student and with anyone that you like. So if you, I'll send you the link later. You can you can just click this link and schedule
book a meeting.
Yeah, and then I put it in the Zoom.
Thank you.
And then you can get some of your colleagues to run a workshop. And then we can run like a 2-hour workshop. It's going to be fun. Okay. Now let me show you the real MonsoonSIM live action. Okay. When you log in as a teacher, you will be able to create your game. So it's quite easy to become a teacher. That's like 1-day training. And then once you become a facilitator, what we call them a facilitator. Once you become a facilitator, you can click My Home, and then you can start creating your game like I do now. So I'm going to say game I facilitate. You click this, and then you can then say a new game. So I'm going to create a new game. I'm going to call the game, say this is like ECU demo. And then I will use my server, but you're going to have your own server later. When you create a game, you simply share the link to the student. And when they go into your game, they automatically become your student.
Right. Okay.
Right. So we do it on the fly instead of pre-register them. However, some university like to pre-register, like Florida, they will send the name and the email to us.
Because I was thinking, what if I had 4 facilitators at the same time with 4 units, and so that's 400 students? Like, but now I understand it's that link that pushes them through to you. Got it.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. So each facilitator will have their own link for their
Thank
own
you.
classes.
Brilliant.
No worries.
Yep.
I hope that clears it up.
No, really, that helps. Thank you.
Okay, so now we go to my server, and then I'll just take another server. And then here is where you can define where you want to take your student to do a business in. So this is a simulated world. So you can simulate Australia, the Balkans, the gray area.
Context is nationalized.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
And there's reason for that is that this we can expose the student into the unit of measurement in America, right? We can expose
Weird.
them to the currency being used in UK and so on. So this is something that, you know, it's like, let's suppose I pick UK, and then we can also select what kind of product that we want to play today, right? Do we want to play juice, and do we want to play gadgets or cafe drink, automobiles and masks? Now, everyone, they look the same at the first time, in the first glance, but if the student think a little bit deeper, they will understand that there are some very interesting thing about the product. For example, in the automobiles, you got to think about the area being used, right? You cannot, and the cost of automobiles is very high. So it's a very capital intensive business, right? Now, if you are in playing juice, then it is not so much capital intensive, but it is a lot of, you know, like logistics. So you can tailor the product, or you can change the product as you play the game. It's all up to your lesson plan. Yeah. So it's up to you. Now, right. Now, you can also define your own product. So like, for example, I define my own product called pizza, and no one else get a pizza. For example, if you log in, you won't see the pizza because
that's you.
The only one that we release for everyone is this five, right?
Right. Yep.
But then you can define, so ECU may have its own product called pizza, and then you can share the pizza within the old ECU. So all the lecturer in ECU can have your own product.
Yeah, that's good, because I'm just thinking, because sometimes what happens in curriculum, like you've got the same degree and the students are going through all of their units of learning, and sometimes you do see overlaps of content or inventories or exact, like, do you know what I mean? So how do you have the same students learning those discrete skills but not overlapping all the time with, you know, or it might be appropriate to overlap and extend it over the 3-year degree.
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very,
okay,
very good.
that's actually good. Thank you, because I was wondering about that. So that's good.
Yeah. I for example, I give you another example, like juice, right? Juice actually can expire.
Yeah.
Right. So
I've had some. It's not good.
I know. So if you really want to crank up the complexity, you can, right? But first, you know, we can keep it simple. So just play, let's say we just play gadget, no problem, and then we say next. So now I've created a game that we are selling in the UK. We are doing business in UK. We are competing in UK, and we are selling gadgets in UK, right? So the game has been created, and this is my game, ECU demo. And now I'm going to start the game in my server. So as I said, you will have your own server, and we have our own server. So now I'm going to go to my server. So now this is the game that I have just created. As you can see, we are in UK, and we have a baseline and then we are doing gadget. So if you look at the modules being set up right now, there's nothing. So we can turn on the modules, whatever module that we like, we can turn it on, and we can say,
and you can schedule. Oh wow, you can schedule it. Wow.
Before I show you this, I want to share with you a little bit of how other people do first. Let me just go to how other people does it right now. We have a live game going right now.
Wow.
Okay. So let me just share with you. Let's take a look at this live game. So you can see that this game is running live. So now, as you can see, how many modules they are running? They run all modules.
All of them but one. The last one's
exactly. They go all the way to human resource.
Wow,
right?
that's pretty complex.
Right. All right, and every day is about 20 seconds. So the student has 20. So right now they are running as a game. So
Right,
this,
so 20 seconds in real time is the equivalent of 1 day in the game.
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
20 seconds in real time equivalent to 1 virtual day for the gamers.
Wow, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we can look at their transaction. If I click this, you can see how the students are doing their business now. So you can see like this guy is buying product, and then this guy is moving stock. This guy,
Wow.
doing this, they're bidding for the B2B bidding, and then you can see all the transaction moving.
Wow, there's a lot
stock
going
and
on in
buy,
there.
investing in marketing, purchase in e-commerce, set product. So that's
Wow.
all. So you
Yeah,
can
I can see that.
so then you can also look at their KPI, as I mentioned earlier, as they play the game. You can watch their KPI. For example, you can see what is there. For example, there's a lot of KPI here. What do you want to, let's suppose I want to see their margin. So I can click their gross profit margin, and then I can see, all right, so there are 14
That,
here. So that's their margin live, real time on day 72.
yeah,
Okay.
I think Tim Savvy needs to pick up his game a bit, but yeah.
So for example, a teacher may combine a number of KPI to teach. For example, just pick the very simple one. For example, I click the sales. For example, I take a daily revenue, accumulated revenue, and then I'll look at the cost. I'll also look at accumulated cost, and then I look at the finance. I look at the let's say gross profit, and then operating expense, and then I can look at the net profit. Now, if I look at this in half screen and last day only, let's see. So this is, I like to start teaching by this very simple relationship. So you can see the student, you can teach the student to understand that, look, this is your sales. This is your cost. Yeah, this minus this will give you the gross profit.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you have a low operating expense, then this translates to your net profit of highest net profit. Okay.
Nice.
So, start them with a very simple concept like that. Let them understand, okay, now I understand. So I need to reduce my operating expense. And how do I do it? And you start teaching. You can also observe many, many things. As I mentioned earlier, you can observe them. Okay, so this is a combination in the weightage, the rubric.
That's a nice view.
So when it comes to net profit, who is number one?
That interactivity of the graphic is actually really good.
Then you can see a lot of other KPI, like you can look at their, say, P&L. This is the P&L. Okay, so this 4 team, Savvy, Robot 1, Robot 2, Robot 3, you can look at the P&L. So they are competing. Okay. By the way, in MonsoonSIM, we also have robot. So you can actually
right. So they're like the inverted commas, the virtual team you're playing against kind of thing. Is that what it is?
Right. So the human, this is the human team.
Yeah.
And these are the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So not just competing against the other people in teams, you're competing against the systems teams.
Correct. You can, but normally they are all students. But in this particular case, they're only one team.
Let's say I've got 6 teams of students. Could I choose to have 2 teams of robots as well, so they compete against the system?
Yes, of course.
Watching the dynamics of the competition between the students and how they competed against the simulation itself, which was interesting.
You can ask the AI to help you analyze the team performance. So the AI will actually look into their game and then explain to you that Team Savvy is currently performing well in terms of financial metric, blah, 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 late shipment, overdraft, inventory value, procurement. So this AI is actually helping the teacher now in analyzing students' performance.
That's good.
So it makes the teacher work a lot simpler. Now they can rely on the AI to help them analyze the game. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I were to open up their screen, like for example, I open up this robot, you can see that this is the screen of the robot. So this is the student screen. We show the transactions and so on. So they are doing the transaction. So here is it's a bit overwhelming, but because they are turning on a lot of modules, so there's a lot of thing here, a lot of data. But you know, so this is what they do. They have Ho Chi Minh City as a warehouse, their revenue, cost, gross profit, and so on and so on. So this is what they do. And the forecast, the transaction, they can watch, for example, they can watch their own KPI, their daily sales, for example. They can see that.
Just another question. So looking at this, it's like I'm looking at the markets that they're selling into: Jakarta, Bangkok, Singapore.
Yeah.
So could you start them in theory, like they start with one market and then they do well and they expand, and then you can get them to add another market and another market?
Yeah.
I want to expand. I'm going to choose another market.
Yeah.
Is that
exactly.
flexible enough? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Right. So for example, if they feel that they're doing very well, they can go here and open up another market. Like for example, they can go into Denpasar and also open up the retail sales.
Yep. That's really good, because you want to see them push themselves to expand the business, right?
Exactly. That's really the key. You want them to, you don't want to tell them what to do, but you want them to, you just give them a scenario and guide them, and then you let them make their own decision.
That's good. I like that. That's interesting.
Right. So that
flexibility is good.
Yeah, they make their own decisions. So for example, you can look at the KPI in terms of the location. You can see that they are doing business in places that is up to them. Like Team Savvy is doing like this one area, Ho Chi Minh, but the robots are having 4 retail store and 5 retail store. So it's all their you know, it's the decision is up to each individual team.
Yep. But he had low overheads, right? So
yeah, there you go. There you go.
Net profit.
Right.
So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's always trade-off, and there's always, you know, it's not one way to win, but it's the reasoning behind that is important, right?
And I think the critical part in this, as you were talking about, is the debrief. So as you go through, like showing the chart, explaining stuff, but it's the debrief. And I think the big learning is really at the end, and getting to the reflection on all that stuff. So
that is right. So they have to explain what they were doing and why they made a mistake and how they can recover. So that is the good learning experience for them.
It doesn't matter if they fail, because it's what you learned.
Exactly. It's not about winning or losing, but it's about their experience. And some of them, they lost the game, but they made a good recovery towards the end of the game. And they are even happier than the one that is winning, you know?
Yep. Seen it myself. It's quite amazing. Sorry, I'm just thinking about let's say got an undergraduate accounting degree, right? Which we've got in a major and a degree. You could actually build this game over 3 years, the same game over 3 years with students.
Absolutely. You can start with a very fundamental concept, and then later on you start to make it more difficult. I give you an example. For example, in retail, when the first time running, you don't want to give them fast moving consumer goods, because it is very difficult, because the product will go expire, right? So we don't want to you know, give them any complexity. Now, as a second student, then you can play the same game, but now you can turn this on. So now you have fast moving consumer goods. That's just another example, right?
So just keep adding stretch goals.
Right. And then when you go into capstone, for example, the final year, then you can get them to do the integrated reporting. So this is the integrated report that the student can publish, and they can be proud of it. They can attach the report into their CV, into their LinkedIn profile, to showcase that they actually have run a virtual company that produced this report. So let me show you the report. It looks
that is really good.
Our team, and then look at this. So this is what happened when they go
Nice.
into like the final year, they have the game, the business, they run the business, and then they can consolidate or they can report the progress in terms of 6 capital: the financial capital, the manufacturing capital, the intellectual capital, the human capital, the social capital, and also the natural capital.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's
this
really,
one,
so this is a persistent link. So that, let's say the team of 4 students, they'll all get that link.
yes,
Yes, I like that. That's actually a really nice value add from a student's perspective.
yes.
So okay, so if our university said we'd like another report added to that, for example, we have this thing that we do with students and it's a thing, we could maybe extend that, for example.
Yeah, we are open for that, that sort of
Right.
collaboration.
Right.
So if there's some sort of report, like say you have a very special report called sustainability report, or some sort of Australian mandatory report, we can work on that, and then we'll get the disclaimer here to showcase that, so this report actually won them the award also. Anyway.
No, because it's fantastic. The evidencing of they can't fake it.
That's right.
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 It's very authentic of their lives, but it's kind of interesting. So if the team didn't do so well, they're coming back. Remember the learning is the failing in that, like and improving. So it doesn't maybe necessarily capture that. However, still they can then say, well, this is what we learned and we did. No, I actually think this is a really nice cherry on the top of what the simulation offers.
Right.